Hello, welcome to the self-learning platform by Dr. Sushma Singh. Today we start Unit 9, Nation and Identity Concerns. E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, Nazrul Islam, Pandita Ramabai, Jaipal Singh, Kahan Singh. Let us have introduction about the unit. Concern for Indian nation was never expressed in a homogeneous way. Social and political thinkers of modern India understood the nature of Indian society and polity in different ways for obvious reasons. Therefore, construction of nation was never uniform. While some of them designed an overarching and encompassing Indian identity, other constructed Indian nation on the foundation of particular identities like religion, caste, ethnicity, and gender, language, etc. In this lesson, an attempt has been made to understand the central idea and concerns of some of the thinkers of modern India who represented and championed particular identities. They include E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, 1879 to 1973, Pandita Ramabai, 1858 to 1922, Jaipal Singh, 1903 to 1970, Qazi Nazrul Islam, 1899 to 1976, and Bhai Kahan Singh Nabha, 1861 to 1938. All these thinkers unfortunately have not received enough attention in the mainstream literature of political science, despite their immense socio-political contributions and mobilizational capabilities. The first one is E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, 1879 to 1973. E.V. Ramaswamy Naicker, popularly known as Periyar, Great Saga, was born in Erode in a family of well-off artisans. He married at an early age of 13, but after 6 years became an aesthete, wandering all over the India, particularly the Hindu pilgrimage centers. He experienced the evils of Hinduism and the priestly exploitations. Next point is critique of Hinduism and Brahminical domination. Periyar's negative perception of Hinduism and Brahmins needs to be analyzed in the socio-political context of Tamil Nadu. Like their counterparts in other provinces, in Tamil Nadu as well, Brahmins always enjoyed a dominant position in the Hindu scriptures and rituals. Though constituted only about 3% of Tamils, they continued to dominate the public spheres even under the colonial rule. Their sentiment in fertile areas further enhanced their social power. In the pre-colonial Tamil Nadu, although Brahmins did not monopolize the ownership of land, they virtually monopolized scribal occupation, which enabled them to acquire Western education much faster than others under the colonial rule. This gave the Brahmins an early lead in the professions. Further, they used a dialect having a distinct character and with a far greater Sanskritic content. Thus, many Tamil Brahmins were very conscious of the Sanskritic nature of their subculture and claimed with the pride to be Aryans, suggesting a quasi racial distinction from other classes. To Naicker, Hinduism was a tool of Brahminical domination, and the Brahmins epitomized Hindu arrogance and perpetrated social injustice. He castigated Hinduism as an opiate by which the Brahmins had dulled the subdued the masses. Naicker blamed the Aryans for introducing an unjust and oppressive social system in the country and espoused a Dravidian racial consciousness to defend the rights of the Dravidian against the Aryan domination. He argued that a Hindu may be a Dravidian, but a Dravidian in the real sense of the term cannot and shall not be a Hindu. Naicker was convinced that Hinduism perpetuated casteism and must be resisted. Thus, he publicly ridiculed the Puranas as fairy tales, not only imaginary and irrational, but also grossly immoral. Next point is critique of the Congress and Mahatma Gandhi. The scope of the associational activity and self government increased in the early decades of the century. Brahmins set the tone of Madras city politics in the 1910 of the Home Rule League sprouting during the World War I and of nationalist mobilization after the war. They controlled Congress's state level leadership until World War II. Naicker was active in the Congress led freedom struggle for some time. He participated in the non cooperation movement, offered satyagraha, and defended Khadi. But Naicker's efforts to get Tamil Nadu Congress to adopt resolutions in favor of caste quota in political representation were continually defeated between 1919 and 1925. Moreover, he got disenchanted with the paternalistic aspect of Gandhi's social program, which he thought was conducive to the legitimation of the prevailing social order. Periyar was opposed to Gandhi's reconstructed version of Varnashrama Dharma, as it did not correspond to the way the caste system had historically functioned. Periyar also interpreted Gandhian nationalism as a hegemonic project to maintain the dominance of the Brahmins and Brahminism in Indian society and the predominant influence of North India in the national politics. Naicker's growing dissatisfaction with Gandhi and the Congress, which he began to express from 1925 onwards in the journal Kadi Asura led his followers to found the Self-Respect Association in 1926. Protesting against the Brahminical domination in high politics, he quit the Congress and developed Dravidian culture alternatives to the prevailing hegemonic Brahminical culture. In 1925, he organized the self-respect movement, designed as Dravidian uplift, seeking to expose Brahminical tyranny and the deceptive methods by which they controlled all spheres of Hindu life. Thus, Naicker advocated God should be destroyed, religion should be destroyed, Congress should be destroyed, Gandhi should be destroyed, the Brahmin should be destroyed. Naicker methods of struggle included the destruction of the images of Hindu deities such as Rama and Ganesha. According to Pariyar, Rama and Sita are despicable characters, not worthy of imitation and admiration, even by the lowest of the fourth-rate humans. Ravana, a Dravidian hero presented as a demon in the north, on the other hand, is depicted as a Dravidian of excellent character. In his preface to the Ramayana, a true reading, he stated that the veneration of the story any longer in Tamil Nadu is injurious and ignominious to the self-respect of the community and of the country. Periyar's methods of breaking idols and taking out anti-God processions earned him a lot of criticism. Yet he was adamant that from his radical point of view, idols were symbols of Brahminical ideology and superstition. Next point is Naicker's discourse. Portraying Naicker as just anti-Brahmin or anti-God would not be doing justice. He was a radical social reformer. His determined campaign against Hindu orthodoxy, accompanied by rationalism and social reform, transformed the social landscape of Tamil Nadu. His radical social reform campaign caught the imagination of the underclass. As in the self-respect movement, one of the Naicker's basic objectives was to remove all superstitious belief based upon religion or tradition. No member was allowed to wear the sectarian marks of faith across his forehead. Members were urged to boycott the use of Brahmin priests in ceremonies. He campaigned for widow remarriage and intercaste marriage. Thus, his thrust on non-Brahminism must be placed in the context of the rigid rituals that had legitimated caste oppression at that time. Naicker claimed that his brand of politics was oriented on the contrary towards the emancipation of the subordinate groups in Tamil society. Much as liberalism had opposed upper class and clerical dominance in the West. Naicker sought to associate himself with the Enlightenment heritage by elaborating a materialist ontology and a genealogy of Brahminical morals as founded on a resentment of worldly non-Brahmin virtues. Further, he claimed Rousseau, Marx, and Ingersoll as sources of inspiration and pointed to the future in which caste divisions and superstitions would yield place to pluralism, secularization, and acceptance of modern science and technology. Such self representations promoted some scholars to view the self-respect movement as consonant with British liberal assumptions. Important aspects of Naicker ideology and the manner in which it was deployed in mobilization were out of tune with liberalism. From rely on the concept of abstract citizens central to British liberalism, Naicker adopted ethnic categories drawn from colonial knowledge and sought to accord Shudra primacy in the political community. In contrast to the North, the South India, even before the colonial rule, had experienced considerable social mobility at different points, and the intermediate castes increasingly rejecting the traditional Varna order. As kingly power grew, mercantile and warriors groups acquired more land as well as dominance. The onset of the British rule constricted the kingly path to political power. Naicker's vision of Shudra primacy provided the ideological basis on which later Dravidian ideologies reinforced the domination of the non Brahmin elite, both old and new, such as rich farmers, merchants, and industrialists. Thus, the emancipatory potential of Naicker's notions of social identity remained a subsidiary aspect of Dravidist project right through. Next point is Dravidian mobilization. Naicker conceived Dravidian community primarily in terms of a coalition of mega castes, the non-Brahmin Hindu caste of Tamil Nadu, that is, Tamil speaking Hindu who were neither Brahmins nor SCs. Non-Brahmanism endured in Tamil Nadu because it was linked to Tamil nationalism from the 1930s onwards in a populist discourse. The opposition to Brahmin dominance had the potential of serving as a banner for subordinate non Brahmin groups to buttress their domination. Under the Congress ministry of C. Rajagopalachari in 1937, Hindi was introduced in the South as a compulsory subject in schools, taking it as an affront to Tamil culture and its rich literary traditions. Naicker waved black flags of rebellion in his first anti Hindi campaign. The campaign forced the government to change Hindi into an optional subject. Naicker saw the imposition of Hindi as a subjugation of Tamil people, which could be avoided only through the creation of a Dravidian state. In 1938, Naicker was elected president of the Justice Party. The party resolved that Tamil Nadu should be made a separate state, loyal to British Raj and directly under the Secretary of State for India. In 1939, Naicker organized the Dravida Naidu Conference for the advocacy of a separate and independent Dravidistan. The damage demand was again reiterated the following year in response to the Lahore Resolution demanding Pakistan passed by the Muslim League. Naicker gave full support to the scheme for Pakistan and tried to enlist support for the creation of a Dravidistan. The basic presupposition of the movement was that the Dravidian non-Brahmin people, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam, were of a racial stock and culture which distinguished them from the Aryan Brahmins. In 1944, the Justice Party was reorganized as Dravida Kadgam DK. The object of the DK was proclaimed to be the attainment of a sovereign independent republic, which would be federal in nature with four units corresponding to the linguistic divisions, each having residual powers and autonomy of internal administration. It would be a classless society, an egalitarian Dravida Naidu to which the depressed and downtrodden could pledge allegiance. The party proclaimed its opposition to the British Raj, and Naicker called upon the DK members to renounce all titles conferred by the British and resign all offices connected with the National War Front. This action greatly enhanced the prestige of the movement, and the DK could no longer be considered a handmaiden of the British, as was the Justice Party from the very beginning. Here we want to wind up this lecture, and thank you so much for your attention.